Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Hey everybody, it's Jeff. Good to see everybody, and hopefully you're having a good Monday here as we start this week. It's been nice today. Yesterday it was kind of overcast and cloudy, but today, it was a little bit cloudy, but then it kind of ended off in a nice, sunny evening and stuff. So it's pretty nice out right now. So anyway, I believe it or not, I only found out like 2 days ago about Pam Bondi's thyroid cancer diagnosis, which explains why she was wearing this white Band-Aid thing on her neck here. And it seemed odd that she was walking around with that, her shirt open so everybody could see that. I thought, it's like, what is that? So I looked it up and I found, why, she had an operation there apparently. But I'm like, well, doesn't it seem like she's kind of showboating it a little bit? I mean, why wouldn't she just, cover it or something? Most women would do that. They wouldn't walk around with a big fucking Band-Aid, I don't know. And the first thought that came to mind, of course, is that, does she really have cancer, or is this just, begging for sympathy, okay, because she's so unpopular. And so I was reading more, and then I found some reactions online about it. And there's very, very little sympathy out there for her over that. And one of these comments that I read it really kind of nailed it, I think. And what this person said was that, during, the hearings and stuff, and they were talking about the Epstein files and everything, there were people in the courtroom, or not the courtroom, I'm sorry, it wasn't a court, it was a hearing, okay, in front of Congress. There was people in there who were victims of Jeffrey Epstein, okay? And they were watching her, and she wouldn't look at them, okay? She wouldn't look at them. And that pissed them off, because it's like, she's talking about, Epstein like he's done nothing wrong, or that, nothing's been proven or anything. And she comes off as very cold, And so now that she's been diagnosed with thyroid cancer, which is like, well, why would the media even report that unless they are either trying to shame her or something, or draw sympathy to her? I don't know. Okay, it just seemed like it was something that, if I was a reporter, I wouldn't even really have said much or said anything at all about it, because I know the way the country feels about her. But nonetheless, it was reported. And the thing is yes, she sat in that fucking hearing, lying, covering, okay, aiding and abetting, doing all these things as an attorney general, which is really wrong in every fucking sense of the word, okay? As an attorney general, okay, she's supposed to be protecting us from the president, okay? Whenever he does something wrong, she's the one, or the attorney general is the one that has to hold him accountable. Instead, she inverted that role, where she's actually protecting the president from the public outcry, okay? That is unheard of. That's unheard of in our system of politics. But that's what she was doing. Now, people were very pissed off about that you know, the answers that she was given. Okay, remember the Dow. Okay, remember that. Okay, people were very annoyed with that, and even the people questioning her were getting pissed off at her evasiveness and everything. Okay, she just didn't want to say a goddamn thing, and everybody knew why. Everybody knew why. So after she loses her job, whatever, she resigned, she was fired. I don't know which. Okay, but she's not the attorney general anymore. All of a sudden now she's got thyroid cancer. And she's still under fire from that shit, you know, from the Epstein crap and all that. They're still wanting her to account for things. Now, you know, I would say, you know, it's a good way to try to garner sympathy from the people that might question her. I don't know if she's really got it, okay? I can't believe anything that comes out of the mouth of anyone who works in this regime here in the White House, okay? I just can't. I'm sorry if it makes me sound cynical, but I've had good goddamn reason to be cynical, and I think you do too if you feel the same. We all do. We can't believe our eyes when these fucking people are putting on performances or whatever, or lying or saying things to us. Okay, we just can't. We can't afford to, because he's duped this country. Trump has duped this country once already, or no, twice. He's duped us twice. First time president, second time president. Twice he fucked us up, okay? And he's still lying, he's still evading, he's still covering, okay? And he's doing all these crazy things to our government. He hasn't earned our trust. So anyone working with this guy, or worked past tense with this guy, can't be trusted either, okay? Pam Bondi's one of them. Now, I'm not, my point here isn't to say that she's lying about having cancer. Okay, she may have it. My point is, why should we give a shit? My mother died from cancer, 52, okay? She was a good woman. She did a lot for my sister and I growing up, okay? She was a hard worker. She put up with a lot from my old man, okay? She was a good person, and she was always helping other people all the fucking time, helping others, you know? And she had a lot of good friends. It was sad to see her go the way she did. And, you know, I'll always carry that. But Pam Bondi, now I don't know her for all the years. I mean, she's 60 years old. I don't know her. I only know her from the 1 year she was Attorney General, and I don't like her. Okay, she sucks. All right? She couldn't even bring a tiny sliver of honor to the job. No, she had to trash the whole fucking office with her presence in there. And she didn't care about the fucking victims of Jeffrey Epstein. Didn't want to look at them. Very cold. Well, now we're returning the favor. I think we're justified in being cold back to her, because that's what she earned. Okay? She earned no respect from us. She's earned no sympathy from us. Okay? Because of that year she was Attorney General. We don't like her. Just like we don't like Trump. If Trump is dying, as some people are saying, good. Okay, good. Because we don't want him around. We want him gone any which way they can make it happen. That's what we want. He's a mistake. A lot of people have finally admitted that he is a mistake, that they were fucked, you know, duped, whatever word you want to use. Okay? They were misled by this fucking asshole. Okay? So nobody wants to see him stay. So anyway he's done. He's done. Same thing with Pam Bondi. I mean, of course, we had to wait for her for Trump to turn on her, okay, which we all knew would happen eventually, because she wasn't doing a very good job of keeping his name in the clear, okay? She was just making it more controversial, so she wasn't very good at her job as Attorney General, or at least the job of protecting the president, because she wasn't doing her job as Attorney General. She was using her office to protect the president, because she knew the guy was crooked. She knew he had lots of shit in the closet. Okay? So, like I said, why should we care that she's got thyroid cancer? Okay? Would you care if, say, Bill Cosby all of a sudden come down with cancer? Should we feel sympathy for him after all the shit that he went through at the end of his career and all that? What about Mackenzie, what's her name? The fucking, that little shit in prison now there for killing her, for two guys over her car. What's her name? Mackenzie Silica or some fucking name, I don't know. You know who I'm talking about, okay? Should we feel sympathy for her, you know, if somebody beats her up in prison? Okay? There's people in the world that we don't care if something bad happens to them, and that is perfectly normal. It's not a slur on our character if we don't give a shit. Okay? It's not a slur on us. It's human nature. I mean, it goes all the way back to when we were kids and we were being bullied and something happened to the bully and we don't care. We kind of take a measure of pleasure from watching them suffer because of all the misery they inflicted on you. Okay? It's the same thing. To force people to care about Pam Bondi, as the right wing is trying to do here. Okay, screw that. It makes you look worse just for trying. Because after all the hateful things that she's done, okay, you think she deserves sympathy because she's fallen on hard times. That's good. Maybe she'll learn something from that, because those people who were victims of Jeffrey Epstein had to go through hard times too. And she doesn't seem to care that they did. So if it's okay for her to act that way, then it's okay for us, right? I mean, they're setting the example for which the country has to follow. That's what the people in the upper legions here of our goddamn government are supposed to be, examples for the rest of the country. And they have been a very poor example for what America is. But if they're going to act this way, then they shouldn't expect people to act any different towards them. Okay? That's basically my point. Nobody should feel guilty about feeling bad for her or Trump or anybody else working for that sick bastard. Okay? That's the way I feel about it. Okay? And I'm not a person, that I would consider to be hateful to people. I'm not. I usually go out of my way to be nice. But in this woman's case, okay, and we all saw this happening on TV live when it was going on, she had turned her back on humanity, as it were, by doing what she was doing. Okay? She turned her back on America, on humanity. She just basically sold her soul to the devil, basically, by protecting Trump. For what reason? I don't know. Maybe she's more connected to the Epstein stuff than we even thought about. Okay? I mean, she had an association with Jeffrey Epstein in the early years. So maybe there was something there. I don't know. But like I said, it's really unrealistic to expect Americans to care. Even people who've gone through cancer, it's okay, even for you people, not to care. Okay? Because think about what the Trump administration has done already to people trying to get health care in this country. He's crippled it. Okay? It shouldn't cost $50,000 to go to a fucking emergency room visit. Okay? It's crazy. The rest of the world laughs their silly asses off at us because we do this to ourselves. They no longer believe that this country's such a great place anymore. They really don't. A lot of people have actually realized now just how morally bankrupt our country is, and how it's imploding now. Okay, I've seen a lot of comments from people like in England, in Australia, and other countries, Germany, whatever, take your pick, that comment on news items, and they're saying, hey, I think America's getting what it deserves, because every fucking time America screws up, internationally, we get sucked into their mistakes. We're sick of it. So now that America is falling apart, it's time, they feel it's time to just close any ties they have to this country off, period. Business-wise, politically, whatever. Okay? They should just leave us out there to burn. And I can't say I blame them. I really can't say that I blame them, because they are so right. We aren't the pillar of perfection that we've been taught growing up. We aren't. Not anymore. Not anymore. We are not. And Trump is the image of what this country has become. Believe it or not, and I know you won't like hearing that, but he does represent us. Every president that's ever come down the pike has always been a representation of America's current status. And Trump people is that image of America today. There's a lot of people out there who are, well, maybe not as bad as him, but they kind of think like he does now. Okay? Where our racism and our bigotry is full blown now all across the country. I mean, I don't know how it was during the period of the 50s and the 60s. I mean, I've seen historical records, videos, movies based on such. Okay? I've seen that. Okay? And I think, we're either at the same level we were then or it's gotten worse. Okay? So I don't think we've made any strides. I think we're still an embarrassment to what humanity could be. We're really not that great of a country. We haven't proven to the world that this is the place everybody wants to be anymore. Okay? We're destroying ourselves from within. Okay? Our laziness in politics has brought us to this shit. We turned it into a fucking game, into a wrestling match. We turned it into something that people should, take with a grain of salt, okay? And look where that's got us. Instead of doubling down on taking it serious, we instead said, fuck it. Well, now this is fuck it. This is fuck it time. Okay? This is what you wanted. And it's sad to see that there's so many people right now on YouTube, a lot of videos, I mean, tons of videos of former MAGA people crying and moaning over where we are, what's happened, and everything. And I'm thinking, you know what? You fucking guys, you wanted this. You wanted this. Okay? You wanted this so goddamn bad. Okay? You wanted to have control of the government, which you do. You have it. You got the White House, you got the Senate, you got the Congress, and you got the fucking Supreme Court in your pocket. You got it all. And with everything that's happening, and you're bitching, high gas prices, high prices at the restaurants and the grocery stores, okay, Medicaid cut, healthcare going through the roof, okay, you guys are still bitching about the same fucking things that you blame Democrats for doing, okay? And now you thought the answer was to vote Republican all across the board, and since you did that and you won, you're still bitching about the same things that you were bitching about before. Is there a point where you say, geez, I can't believe I'm saying this again? Don't you have any realization that you're echoing the same fucking problems you had when a Democrat was the president? And you're still saying the same shit now? Does that make you wake up a little bit more to say, you know what? I didn't get what I wanted. Even though you claim you did, you want to own the libs. I think that was the number one thing in the list of things to do if you vote Republican, to own the libs, right? So you own the libs, and now you're still bitching and regretting, okay? Your families have disowned you, some of you people, okay? I've read marriages are breaking up because they don't like their spouse for being a Trump supporter. Okay, there's all kinds of shockwaves still going around in this country with Trump being the president. Okay, because as the anger level against him rises, so does the tension in the community. Because anybody now who's seen as having voted for Trump becomes a target for people's anger. So like I've said this, I think at the beginning of the year, that by the time this year is over, if you're caught wearing one of those fucking MAGA hats, you might get attacked. That's how bad it's getting, okay? And I'm saying it could happen even now. And it's already happened in some areas, okay? Just a few times already. People are being assaulted, for having a bumper sticker that says Trump 2024 or something like that. They won't take it off. They still got it on their bumper. They're driving around and people deliberately nailing them, in the rear ending them and stuff, or it's confronting them when they're in the parking lot. Okay, it's happening, okay? But that is going to escalate more. That sort of thing is going to escalate more. Even though MAGA people are trying to come out and beg for forgiveness, again, it's like the Pam Bondi thing. Nobody's got any sympathy for you because you never had any for us. The things you wanted to see happen were terrible. The things you were supporting Trump for wanting to do when he became president is terrible. It's evil. Your party's evil. MAGA is pure fucking evil is what it is. And nobody wants to wrap their arms around somebody that's like that. And I think for a large part of you people, MAGA, you're probably still mad because the left isn't embracing you. Okay? We're not forgiving you. And that's pissing you off all the more because we're holding that over your head like a sword of Damocles. Because you know that down the road, that's all going to turn around against you. When you try to elect one of your own back into politics, people are going to bring that shit up all the fucking time now. Trump gave, he did a thing of 1,000 cuts to the Republican Party by being president. Okay, he's really done a lot of damage to the Republican Party, and that's going to stick with you guys for a long time until you reinvent yourselves to go back to the way you were when it started, when the Republican Party started. Until you can go back to that, okay, no one's ever going to listen to you because we now know what you really are. You are anti-American, every one of yous. Okay, you are fucking anti-American. You want to see this country burn right to the fucking ground. That's what you want. Okay, don't tell me that's not what you voted for because that's what you got. And it wasn't enough that you had to get the White House. You had to get everything else too to make sure that that happened. Okay, Project 2025 is already going on in many parts of this country already. Okay, believe it or not. Because especially the red states. But those people who can try and prevent it are doing their damnedest, okay? But this is what you guys wanted. And I'm tired of seeing you fucking people make videos crying and everything that you're hurting now. You can't get food, you can't buy gas and all this stuff. It's like, look, if there's any solution to your fucking problem, it's got to start with you. It has to start with you. Because we only got where we are today because of the way your thinking was when you voted. That was where you needed to change right there. And you didn't listen to people who knew better about what Trump is. You told them they were lying. You told them it was demagoguery. You'd said all these things to try and whitewash the fact that you thought you were voting for Jesus too. Okay? That's what you people did. And because you had that man so elevated in your mind, you made yourself into a cult leader or a cult follower, and you put this guy in the White House. So if we're ever going to change this country around, you're going to have to change. All you people that voted for him, you're the ones that are going to have to change. All you farmers out there that are losing your fields, okay, losing your fucking livelihoods, because you're eventually going to have to sell your property to somebody, okay, or a company. All you people who are losing your livelihoods after you voted for Trump, what can I say? But this is what you wanted, okay? I don't think many of you people who claim to be, well, you're smart because you can run a business, I don't think you people have a lot of common sense. You can be intelligent, but you've got no fucking street smarts at all. Seriously. I've met a lot of people in my life who are fucking geniuses about data and history and stuff and math and everything. But when it comes to interacting with other people, they are so fucking immature, it's laughable. Okay? And so I think a lot of you people in MAGA, okay, you either fall into two categories. You're either really smart and you don't have any fucking common sense, or you don't have any common sense and you're not very smart. Okay? And unfortunately, that's what Trump likes the most, is people who are awkward, okay, maybe shunned socially or something, maybe not so bright, but that's probably why, because it's easy to fool you guys. It's easy to fool you guys. It's harder, much harder to fool somebody who's educated and has some common sense. Much harder to do that, which is why he don't give a fuck if any Democrat joins him, because he knows that most people in this country fall into the category of being too stupid to realize what's good for them. So, anyway, let me read something here. Okay, this here is from Jack Cucciarella, titled, "This Just Made Trump Quit, the Weakest President in History." Donald Trump just quit his war because he got bored. The war is a strategic catastrophe. Gas is like $5 a gallon. It's blatantly illegal and destroying the economic future of the country. Who cares? It's just boring. He got on the phone with CNBC and said, quote, "Honestly, I really don't care. I couldn't care less if they're over, they're over. If they're not, I think they took too much time. Frankly, I thought they started to get very boring," unquote. Like he's watching a filler episode of Heated Rivalry. That's the commander-in-chief in a war he started on behalf of Israel against Americans' interests, as we waste our entire weapons arsenal only to give up almost immediately after losing at every conceivable level. An embarrassment. He didn't just lose interest, he's actively losing, and that's his only kryptonite. No plan, no objective, no authorization, and now the Strait of Hormuz is a parking lot. Oil spiked at 8% in a single afternoon, and even his own party is done holding the bag as voters look at gas prices in disgust. So he's doing the only thing he knows how to do when he's losing. He's pretending he wanted to leave the whole time. The talks got boring. He's taking his ball and going home again and again and again. Look at what's actually happening in the Senate. For months, the Republicans lined up like good little minions and killed every single war powers resolution Democrats put in front of them. Then, slowly it began dawning on them what this war really means. Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, Rand Paul at first, now Bill Cassidy, who Trump just primaried into the ground, walked right onto the floor and voted yes, because what's Trump going to do? Threaten their careers? And over in the House, it's even more pathetic, because last month, Mike Johnson had a war powers vote scheduled and then yanked it off the floor at the last second. Why? Because he knew he was going to lose. He knew there were enough Republicans ready to cross the aisle and vote to take Trump's power away from him, or at the very least, embarrass him, and it's not clear which one would be worse for Trump, or for that matter, his lapdog Mike. That vote is coming back this month, by the way. The recess is over and the vote is waiting. So put it together. Trump's own Republicans are about to vote in public with their names attached to strip him of a war he is personally losing. And right on cue, the very same day, here he is on CNBC basically saying, quote, "The negotiations, oh, those, yeah, I don't care, those got boring, I was barely paying attention," unquote. He's quitting before getting fired and tweeting 56 times in one day on his way out the door. He is literally telling us he doesn't care about us at all. They asked him about gas prices, about Americans getting crushed financially, and his answer is, quote, "Once you explain that this is all about Iran having a nuclear weapon, people are willing to pay a little bit more," unquote. He floated a fantasy about gas dropping to $1.85 like it was in Iowa, and then says NATO is weak and sad and he doesn't need them anyway. The whole thing is a man who has no idea what he's doing, narrating his own collapse in a way that makes him look addled and delusional. This is what losing looks like when you're a narcissist. Republicans are running for the exits. The war he picked is bleeding him dry, and the strongman's big final move is to call the whole thing boring and hang up the phone. He didn't end the war. He just rage quit and called everyone a loser on his way out. Yeah, so that's what we got representing us as a country, okay? Does that sound like a goddamn leader to you? Does that sound presidential to you? Okay, that he would say shit like that? Now, I know there's a lot of talk lately that, Trump is actually ill with something, okay? I've seen all kinds of talk, but not on the mainstream. It's all on fucking the internet, okay? Did you see his hand? It's bruised. I don't care. Okay, I only want to see him out. I don't care if he's sick. because they're not going to do anything if he's sick. Even if he's got dementia. They didn't do anything to Ronald Reagan when he had dementia. They didn't care. All right? So it's going to have to be more than just dementia in order for the Republicans to say, oh, well, I guess he's got to go. Okay? He's going to have to, like, get in front of the camera and vomit or shit himself, over and over again every time he's in front of in order for people to say enough, okay? I mean, they couldn't stand Joe Biden for the way he sounded like he was a little bit, out there like that. And Trump has done that and then some, and they don't care. So, like I said, this is a very, very bizarre thing for a president to say and do, okay? He lost all fucking support here for that fucking war. Nobody wanted to start that. There was no reason to start it. Iran was not going to have a nuke, okay? Obama had put in place the safeguards to keep that from happening, and the UN was monitoring it, okay? Nobody was saying a damn thing about it. It was the same thing about, oh, Iraq's got weapons of mass destruction, and everybody was saying, no, they don't. We've been watching them for decades. They didn't get shit there, okay? But no, we had to have that war for a fucking other reason that didn't have to have anything to do with 9/11 or whatever the hell, okay? It just didn't have nothing to do with that, okay? So, this is another attempt where Republicans are putting the country at war, as they always do. They create a big fucking international mess, which they always do. And a Democrat has to get in there to clean it up. And when they don't clean it up fast enough, the Republicans say, see, they can't do nothing, right? We need to have a Republican come back. Okay? This has been the perpetual fucking cycle decade after decade in this country. Okay? Republicans fuck it up. The Democrats have to try to fix it. They come back, the Republicans, and then the Democrats have to come back and fix that. And the Democrats always get the ones taking the blame for the problems, of trying to clean up the mess. Now, Trump, he's made the biggest mess of all Republicans that we've ever had in this country. And I don't know if it's going to take how many terms of a Democrat president and, a Democrat-controlled government to be able to fix that. I mean, I always feel like this country takes one step forward and two steps back all the fucking time. Don't you feel that way? Like when we think we're coming ahead a little bit, oh, no, we got to take, it's like we just can't stay focused. We can't stay committed to a direction. That's why the rest of the world doesn't really like the United States, because they can't trust us every 4 years. We get a president that does good things, wants to set the country on the path to green energy or alternative energies. And then the next president comes in and says, fuck all the agreements we made. We're going right back to where we were, sucking on fossil fuels. Okay? The rest of the world gets, if we can't get the United States behind it, nobody else is going to want to do it either. Okay? But China, believe it or not, is decades ahead of us right now on alternative energy. They're beating us. They know where the future is and where there's going to be money to be made. The United States wants to become extinct like the dinosaurs by continuing to drink up all of what's left of the fossil fuels. Hey, when it comes time, for people to pay at the pump, don't cry if it's like $6, $7 a gallon, because you guys didn't want to try green energy or alternative sources of energy. Okay, because that doesn't look cool, or it doesn't, there's no power. Okay, fuck your excuses. You get that shit from the goddamn right-wing talkers, okay? These fucking jibber-jabber nuts that are all bought and paid for by the establishment. Okay, those fucking people are not helping your thought processes, by the way. Okay? You need to think on a bigger scale. Stop being selfish. Stop being selfish, because selfishness is what started you down the path to being a Republican and eventually a MAGA loon. Extreme selfishness. Let's go to a commercial break. We'll be right back.
I'm Alex Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Roxy Sugar, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me.
This is me.
Me.
This is me.
This is me.
At the end of the journey, the main thing is you, original.
He didn't lose to him. We all know that. If you truly believe that he lost to him, you're still believing the narrative. Yeah. You're telling me this, and Biden won, campaigning out of his basement. Yes. You tell me
like
that
60 people.
You tell me that Biden got 81 million votes. I'd laugh at you.
Trump brought the evidence to 60 courts. Everyone rejected him. The DOJ,
because it didn't hurt people. That's where it comes from.
The DOJ, the FBI, Bill Barr, people in his cabinet all say there's not enough evidence to overturn the election, and it seems like there's a convenient excuse every time I bring that up. So,
you say illegal judges?
Illegal judges?
Judges. Yeah. Ones who are so one-sided.
Wait a minute, though. A lot of those judges were appointed by Donald Trump.
Well, but he, just like Barr.
Bill Barr turned on him.
Bill Barr is part of the problem. There's that uniparty establishment that is providing this income and this warmongering fear.
Do you watch CNN?
No, I don't really watch news.
What do you watch? Where do you get your information from?
George Soros feeds me information straight up.
That's your biggest problem right there.
You bought the hat, waved the flag, screamed his name in every bar, shared his post like gospel truth, said that man's a shining star. But now you asked a question about a headline he ignored, and buddy, hate to break it to you, he don't love you anymore. You were great, you were loyal, you were his kind of crowd, till you didn't clap on cue or cheer just quite as loud. He said you're low IQ, yeah, he said it out loud. Called you rhinos just to fire up the crowd. If you question, dear leader, you're fake to the core. Yeah, you wore the jersey, but he don't love you anymore. Tucker tried to ask a question, boom, low IQ on sight. Talked about a war or two, didn't sit with him just right. Megan pushed back once again, yeah, that opened up the door. Disagree on anything, you're not his friend no more. Candace said, hey, maybe. Didn't even get it out. Soon as there's a hint of doubt, he starts to twist the knife around. Used to call you patriots, said you were the best, till you didn't back him up on every single test. He called you poorly educated, yeah, he slammed that door. Said you ain't even MAGA like you were before you drank every word. Now he's settling the score. You built the whole kingdom, but he don't love you anymore. Funny thing about kings of the hill, they love you till you don't fit the bill. Ask one hard question, now you never will. You cheered every rally, every rant, every claim. Now he's saying you're the problem, yeah, you're the one to blame. Didn't like a policy or how a story played. Now you're just another critic that he's ready to degrade. He said you helped him win it all. Remember that refrain? Now you're just fake MAGA if you step out of the lane. He said you're losers, yeah, he made it clear. Said you never really mattered, no, not this year. If loyalty's a contract, well, he tore up your but he don't love you anymore. So fold up that red hat, wipe that tear from your eye. Turns out loyalty's a one-way street, and this goodbye you thought it was forever. Now you're walking out the door. The crowd stopped cheering, so he don't love you
DoorDash girl, the sneaky spy who brings the fries.
She delivers, she discovers, snap and share it all.
Press the crash out button and... I'm the victim! DoorDash girl, the villain next door.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it.
It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
Okay, welcome back, people. More reading here from Daily Dose of Democracy here. Trump walloped with bad news in must-win state. Trump's betrayal of four-term Republican incumbent John Cornyn, I guess that's how you say it, in last week's bruising GOP Senate primary has upended the calculus for the upcoming midterm elections and put Texas in play for Democrats, according to new polling. A full 30% of Cornyn voters have signaled their intention to cross the aisle and vote for rising Democratic star James Tallarico, I guess, rather than just a ballot for the scandal-plagued State Attorney General Ken Paxton. Hell, the National Republican Senatorial Committee went on the record calling Paxton repulsive and unfit for office, qualities that clearly weren't deal breakers for Donald when he gifted from his, quote, complete and total endorsement, unquote, made Trump's many chickens come home to roost this November. Yeah, see, you know, the fallout from all this time with Trump here, it's hurting the Republican Party, and you can't say, oh, these Republicans that are turning on him are disloyal, okay, and all that. No. What would you do? What would you fucking do if you were a Republican right now sitting in the Congress or the Senate and you had an election coming up? Would you continue to kiss Trump's ring, or would you fucking save your own ass? What would you do? I mean, it seems to me like there's a lot of Republicans that don't really care anymore if they stay or not. Maybe they're deliberately committing suicide, as it were, okay, to get out of politics. You know, I don't know. That way they could say, well, you know, I didn't resign, I got voted out. Okay? The more honorable way to go, I guess. Because if you resign, it means you're a quitter, you know, and Republicans don't like quitters, but no American actually does anyway. But maybe that's what's going on. Maybe these people are hoping they'll lose so they can get the hell out of the fucking frying pan and out of the fire, or whichever. Okay, maybe they're hoping they'll lose. That's why, you know, they're actually going to try and run in November, which a lot of them probably feel like they're gonna lose. You know, who knows? I mean, that's something to chew on here, because I think maybe in some cases, some of these Republicans are so mad at Trump for tainting their chances of getting reelected that they're just saying, you know what, the hell with it. Trump's wrecked the fucking Titanic, and I don't want to stay on this fucking ride anymore because it's going down. So I'm gonna just hope that the voters vote me out. Okay. Let's see here. What's this? This is from Huffington Post. Let me see. This is written by Ed Mazza, titled "Sit Back and What?" Trump shares some unsettling advice in 1 a.m. social media. See, that guy never sleeps. He's up at all hours of the fucking early morning there, the crack of dawn, and what's he doing? He's online on his fucking lie social network. Okay. Trump offered some advice to the nation early Monday morning as the U.S. and Iran renewed hostilities amid a fragile ceasefire. Quote, "Just sit back and relax. It will all work out well in the end," unquote. The president wrote on Truth Social at 1:02 a.m. Quote, unquote, "It always does." Really? When? When's the last time anything that's ever good happened under him? Trump insisted that Iran, quote, "really wants to make a deal," unquote, to end the 3-month-old war, then attacked his critics. Quote, But don't the Democrats," he calls them Democrats, "and various seemingly unpatriotic Republicans understand that it is much tougher for me to properly do my job and negotiate when political hacks keep negatively chirping at levels never seen before, over and over again, that I should move faster, move slower, or go to war, or not go to war, or whatever," unquote. Poor you, Trump. Oh, God almighty. It's so difficult to be you when you just want people to let you do whatever the fuck you want. Okay? That ain't gonna happen. I don't care if you're president. That doesn't mean you're the emperor of the universe. You have things you gotta answer for. Trump initially anticipated the war would last, quote unquote, 4 to 5 weeks. Boy, that didn't happen. And insisted in early March that the effort was substantially ahead of our time projections. Yes, substantially, you bet. He has also repeatedly declared victory. Yeah, what does he doesn't even know what victory is going to look like. That's why he keeps saying, we won, you know, because he has no goal. There's no goal to this fucking war. He has no way to know when we fucking finished. Quote unquote, "We've won," he said on March 11. Quote, "Let me tell you, we've won. You know, you never like to say too early you won. We won. In the first hour it was over, but we won," unquote. What is that? You know, he sounds like, you know, a fucking child when he's talking like this. Quote, "We've won this." He keeps saying, we won. It's like he's trying to bang it into your fucking thick head or something. Trump has also insisted that Iran would end its blockade in the Strait of Hormuz, a vital passageway for about 20% of the world's oil that has effectively come to a standstill. As a result, the price of crude is about 50% higher than it was before the war, which in turn has led to higher fuel prices for U.S. motorists as well as spike in inflation. Yeah, it's all connected. In May, Trump said none of that's a factor in his negotiations with Iran. Oh, give me a fucking break. You know he's getting flack from all sides because of people. When you hurt Americans in the wallet, that's when you've lost. Quote, I don't think about Americans' financial situation. I don't think about anybody. unquote. He said, first time he ever said anything truthful. Quote, I think about one thing. We cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon, unquote. Yeah. So, yeah, that's all of it. Like I said, this guy, he's so fucking out there, it's ridiculous, okay? I don't, you know, why people even bother to listen to anything he says on the TV, the press, I don't know, because it all gets thrown right back in his face. Like, oh, I can't believe you said that. What the hell do you mean when you say this? What are you talking about? Okay? He never answers a question. He creates more questions. You know, I mean, I guess you could say that's the art of being a politician when you can't answer a question, okay? And you can tap dance around the truth. But Trump does it in such a haphazard way, but it still sounds like it's natural for him to act that way. You know, because when he speaks intellectually, or when he speaks, there's a lack of intelligence, I should say. It comes across like the guy doesn't really understand stuff. Okay? And he's not in tune with what people are thinking and feeling. Okay? He doesn't care. If you're a president, you're supposed to be aware of those things. Because if you want to see another term in office, hey, you don't want to self-destruct your fucking chances. Right? When the majority of the country is saying stop this war, okay, then as a president, or even just, you know, as, you know, the lowest rung on the fucking public servant ladder, you got to do what the majority wants, because that's what you're there for. You're there to represent the majority, and the majority is not behind this fucking war here. So logically, it should stop. It should have stopped already. It shouldn't even have started to begin with, because, you know, there were polls coming out even before this started. Americans weren't interested in going to war with Iran. They didn't even want to get hooked up with what Israel was doing. Okay, but he went ahead and did it anyway against the better will of the country. So that's not. I mean, that's not being presidential. That's not the government doing what we're supposed to, what it's founded there to do. Okay, and you know, the rest of us sat back basically and just, you know, what are we going to do? We can't stop him. He's going against the will of the country. He won't let Congress get in his way. Okay. Whatever the deadline was that he was supposed to stop this and put it in the Congress's hand in order to continue this war, he's gone way past that now. So this war is now illegal. It is illegal now because we're not supposed to be fighting this war past 60 days, okay? And it's been that and then some. So now you can say that this is an illegal war being launched by the United States against Iran. Now, what does that mean? It means Trump has opened himself up to impeachment because he hasn't gone to Congress to ask for permission and the funding that he needs to continue it. He's sitting here bitching, oh, we're going through all of our fucking arsenal here. Well, that's the fucking reason why you put this up in the hands of Congress. They can tell you whether this is a possibility or not to do this kind of war. Okay? They can tell you how much it's going to cost. They control the purse strings. At least that's the way it's supposed to be. But instead, he knew that if it did go into the hands of Congress, it might not be approved. And he didn't want to do that. You see, avoiding, you know, what you're supposed to do. This is how he dodges things. Okay? And what's Congress done? No, not a whole lot. Not a whole lot. You don't hear this uproar that some people are writing in these op-ed pieces and stuff. You don't hear the uproar in Congress about Trump continuing what is now an illegal war in Iran. Okay? This is what I mean about lazy government here. Everybody's too, oh, I can't win. You know, they're too fucking cynical about what they're supposed to do. Okay? And for whatever reason, they're afraid of Trump, which I don't know what that is. Okay? I honestly don't know why anyone should fear that fucking idiot. Okay? He's a clown. But whatever, they don't want to do their job. And Mike Johnson clearly is on Trump's side forevermore. Okay, he is the wall that separates Trump from reality. And he's abused his position far too much. Okay, and if it was in any other fucking era, he'd have been kicked out of the speakership there for the party or whatever. Okay, he'd have been kicked right out of there. They'd have replaced him already. But I don't know if there's anybody that would be any better than him in the Republican choices here to sit in that fucking chair as majority. Okay, I don't know. It doesn't seem like there's too many people on that aisle that really are worth their ass. You know what I'm saying? You know, so there's a lot of fucking, what can I say? A lot of axes are going to have to fall on the right wing in days to come, because a lot of people have done a lot of fucking bad shit to enable Trump, okay, to allow him to do what he's done. In a way, I'm going to go back to this fucking comparison here to Mackenzie Shirilla there. Her parents enabled her whole fucking life. Never let her experience any consequences to things that she did wrong. Her father lets her smoke pot when, you know, for I don't know how long. I don't know when she started. That could have been, you know, 16 or something. And he's like, oh, well, what was I supposed to do? Okay, her father's a dingbat, and he's a fucking Catholic school teacher, believe it or not. You know, pull your kids out of that fucking school. Okay, the mother is a complete ditz. Okay, you should hear the fucking phone calls, the prison phone calls between her and her daughter. Okay, it's not like a mother-daughter relationship. It's more like a teenage kid relationship. She talks to her on her level. Okay, she enables her. She soothes her when she does something stupid. Okay, she tries to be her support for no matter what she does. So this kind of attitude created this monster that now sits in prison. Okay, possibly for the rest of her life. I don't know. It depends on the parole board, but she's going to have to put 15 years in or something. I don't know. Anyway, that's what Trump is. He's like Mackenzie Shirilla. He's been enabled his whole fucking life to do things and never have to face consequences for anything. And you see what he acts like when he is asked to face consequences. He gets all fucking upset. And, oh, it's a goddamn conspiracy. You know, he fucking explodes with all kinds of bullshit talk. Like a 2-year-old having a tantrum. When a person reverts to that kind of thinking, that means this shit's been going on since he was fucking still in diapers. Okay? And his whole fucking life has been about, you know, the parents covering his ass every which way. You don't get to be like that when you're the president, when you control the lives of so many. You screw up in the office, the Oval Office, and there's gonna be consequences. There has to be. But you see what I'm saying? Lazy government. We're all enabling Trump to continue to do what he's doing. He's feeling the pressure now that he fears he's gonna lose, you know, supporters, his majority and everything, okay? He's fearing that. That would be the first time he's had a fucking consequence in his life. He don't like it. I bet he's unreasonable right now to be around. I bet, you know, him and Vonica, whatever her fucking name is, his wife, I bet the two of them can't get along right now. They're probably fighting all the time. I don't know. But I bet he's miserable to be around these days, because he knows that, you know, there are all kinds of swords of Damocles hanging by a thread that's coming unraveled that are, you know, itching to drop on his head for all the shit that he's done. Okay? And don't tell me he's, you know, that he's dying, because with that kind of stress load on him, you know, I don't care, he eats what, McDonald's all the fucking time, crap food. You know, his arteries are probably clogged. He'd have died of a heart attack by now. So he can't be that weak. He can't be that weak. He might be weakened mentally, okay? But physically, I don't think he's that weak. I think at 80 years old, his heart's still pumping. He's still working. Okay? He's still working. And so, you know, at some point, he's going to have to face something, or he's just going to die, and he'll never have to worry, you know, about facing anything. We're the ones that's going to have to do what everybody else has done their whole life that's ever associated with him, clean up his mess. He's going to die, and the rest of us are going to be with our brooms out there cleaning every fucking thing he's done. Okay? I just don't know, people, you know, how fucking biblical these times are. I mean, if there's a story to tell about this country, it's got to include this, because it's like the conclusion to a story. You know what I'm saying? It's like reading a fucking fairy tale that has a lesson at the end. And it comes to the end, you know, through tragedy. And then the lesson is delivered for why it happened. And America is coming to the end right now in its existence. I really think it is. I really think it is. I'm not just trying to scare the shit out of you. I'm just saying, I think those of us that are here now are here to witness the end of this country in whatever way it comes. Because, you know, every country rises and falls. Do you believe that? It does. You know, read your history. Every fucking empire, no matter how long it's been around, they always start and then they end. Every single time. Doesn't matter what kind of government they have. All right? Right now, Russia is teetering at falling right now. Okay? They are. The situation in Russia is getting really bad. I mean, people are getting paid with IOUs over there because the government hasn't got any fucking money, and neither do the businesses. Okay? They say there is no fucking housing being built anywhere. They show pictures of the fucking places where you have the cement. It's all empty. Okay? Nobody's working. Nobody's doing anything because there's no money to be made. Okay? So Russia is very much in the same boat, maybe worse than we are, but they're pretty much looking at the end too. Two great superpowers. And the only one that's going to be left is going to be China. Really. So if you're smart, for those of you out there who like to play the stock market, I would invest in China. Okay? Anything Chinese. Because if you don't do it now, you're going to lose out big, you know, when the United States just whimpers away into the history books. Because that's where we're headed. We're going to be a footnote in history. Because, you know, time is very, very big. And the United States only has a tiny little fucking spot in it up to now. Okay? It's just a hiccup in time. Okay? 250 years is not a very long time. No. I mean, the Roman Empire was around a lot longer than that. Jesus Christ. Okay? But, yeah, we're just going to be a footnote in history. So the Great Experiment, okay, that they call this country, it's a nickname for the country, the Great Experiment, has failed. And why? For a very simple reason. Greed. We let greed invade every aspect of our lives. That's what we did. We let greed come in between everything. Between our families, between our friends. We put greed as being something to attain to. Something to attain, like something great, instead of being a good person. We only value ourselves by how much money we have. That probably makes a lot of sense to you. Okay? That's what we do in this country. We value anybody by how much what they own, how much money they got, what things they have. Okay? Why do we do that? Really? Why can't we be friends with people who are just good people? It's not enough for some of you people out there. You want to be something bigger than that financially. You want to be able to buy everything you see. For what? You can't take any of that shit with you. Christ. You know? What is it somebody says? The more money you make, the more responsibility you have. The more things you own, the more responsibility you have. So that tells you that there's never a point in your life where you're ever going to feel peace with yourself as long as you keep reaching for more money. Another person said, the more money we make, the more we spend. That's true. The pattern of wanting things all the time doesn't quit. You think, oh, if I have more money, then that's all I'll need, and I won't. No, all of a sudden now you got more money. Maybe I can get that boat. Maybe I can get this. Maybe I can get that. Before you know it, you're back in the same goddamn rat wheel or whatever they call that. Okay, you're doing it all over again, and then you're bitching, oh, I ain't got enough money. You know what I'm saying? You see what greed does? It feeds on itself, and we're all, even me, we're all in the fucking trap. We're all in that fucking trap. That's what America is. That's what it's become, and that's sad because, you know, it doesn't have to be that way. You know, I know other countries have that same shit, maybe to a lesser degree than we do, but other countries see that happening here big time, all the time, okay? And it creates an illusion of wealth in this country where there isn't. There's only just a small few of people in this country that have wealth. The rest of us don't. But because we focus all our attention on the people that are super wealthy, we generalize and say, that's America. No. Somebody that I met when I was a teenager was going to school at the University of Maine. He was, I think he was from Saudi Arabia, I think. But he was going to school and he came here for schooling. And he had a radio that was broken, and my father, who was at the time fixing electronics, TVs and radios, he came by with the radio to have him fix it. Well, I guess my father really liked the guy. They talk and talk and talk. So one day he invited him over for dinner. So he comes over and he tells us about stuff in his country because, you know, my father was very inquisitive about Saudi Arabia and stuff, and he asked him some questions. And he told him one of these things, and it always stuck in my mind, that over there, they at the time, they envisioned America to have streets made of gold, okay? And I kind of giggled at that. I was like, no, they're made of sweat and blood and tar, you know? Okay, ain't no gold there in that. And my father said kind of the same, but and he said after he's been here a while, he's seen that, you know, it ain't all that I was told growing up what it's like. And that's been something that's always stuck in my head, that the way we present ourselves around the world is fake. Okay, other people see the United States and they think it's the Emerald City on the hill, and it's not. It's an illusion. Okay, it's an illusion. And this era right now, with the United States on the decline, Trump is the president, our fly has been unzipped, and they see everything. And now they're like, oh my God, that country is fucked. Okay, they're actually seeing us for what we really are. Okay, and that's what's shocking everybody that I've been reading comments from online now for months. Okay, their eyes have been opened to what the United States is. And believe me, any ideas some of these people had to come and move here? Gone. They ain't coming. They said, why should I send my kid to a school that might get shot dead? I mean, all the news that comes out, it doesn't stay here in the United States. It gets sent around globally. Everybody sees it. So, you see, you know, we failed in trying to create the kind of government and society that we started, you know, what we would set our roots into, hoping to have, because we got lazy and we didn't want to get involved and we didn't want to fucking get out and vote. And I'm too busy, I'm too tired, I haven't had my breakfast. Whatever the fucking reason is. And we started detaching. When we don't get what we want, we're not coming back, okay? No, you see, in a democracy, you're not allowed to not come back. You are supposed to fight and fight and fight until you're dead, just like life. You can't quit, okay? You want to make it in this world, you got to fight right to the end. You cannot quit. That's just how it is. You know, you don't quit until you're dead. You don't get to rest until you're dead. Everything up to that point is just time, really, that you can either make something of or do nothing with. And how you live is basically what you'll be remembered for forever. You know? So, anyway, that's it for today. I hope everybody has a great rest of the week. Subscribe, comment, share. Keep your ears open for any health issues out there, and there will be some. And help each other out. You can begin to live your life and by creating a legacy by helping others. That people will remember too. So I will talk to you later. Take care.